Well, welcome, everybody. We are now live, and this is the Saturday morning Discord, and we're going to get into it. Like I was saying in the pregame show, the little before we do this, um, I'm looking to do another show during the week. If y'all are interested, utilize that chat, and we might be able to do something during the week. All right, so if you can see my screen here to the left, well, that's where it's going to be for me. I found out about this whole T app thing. Yes, this is the financial show. I'm going to tie it to it. Just bear with me. All right. This whole T app thing, I do not. What are my views on stash trading app? All right, I'm gonna get to that in a second. Let me go ahead and open up another window and I'll let me look this up real quick. I actually don't know what that is, my man. So let me. You said stash trading app. I was gonna go over a different app, but let's look at this one. Stash. Is this another trading platform? DX. I've actually never heard of Stash. It says it's rated a 4.7. Okay, it's another trading app, trading platform. I never heard of this one, my man. I don't know if you want to disclose anything you might know about it. I primarily use Robinhood. I've used Webull. I've used TD Ameritrade, E Trade. I've used a couple of different ones. This one's looks like it might be new. Now, what I will say about this one, if it is new, it's got a you used it and made over $600 with it. Okay, so good start. Good start. Now, I will say you can make $600 with any app. All right, and I'm not shooting this one down. I just don't know about it. Right, I'm not shooting this one down. But what I will say is, when you invest with a company, um, what you want to look for is the company who's number one in the space, who's number one, two, and three, and what's the lead number one has on two, what's the lead two has on three, and then you want to look at who's got the moat around them. You want a castle with the moat so that if you pull your drawbridge, your enemies can't get to you, right? That's the analogy there. But who has a safeguard, a hedge on the market against the other ones? And I'm going to tell you right now, pound for pound, the hood is going to be it. Not DA apostrophe hood, Robin Hood. As they are becoming a financial institution, a bank. They're about to do mortgages. They already have, you see right here on my screen, they have gold. I'm a gold member. Their membership for gold, they have different perks. They already have the lowest transaction fees out of anybody out there. They have more and more crypto that they're adding to their platform, and that's to compete with Coinbase. They already have 24-hour trading. They introduced that for like 1,000 different companies. They introduced that last year. They have a credit card. They got out to 100,000 people last year. They got it out in quarter one and two. I think 100,000. They got out 100,000 in quarter one of this year, and they were on pace to get it out to 100,000 people more in quarter two. And I could go on and on. Can't understand why I'm just playing. But I must have the superpowers. No, I'm just kidding. But listen, so they have a hedge on the market. And if you ask me, they would be the number one trading platform out there, bringing in new members like nothing you ever seen, right? Um, they're gonna be the one to beat. So that's why I use them. And I'm gonna check this out though. I'm definitely gonna check out Stash and see what they provide. Not shooting it down, but I've used it for 5 years. That's how much money I've used. Just subtract that, right? It actually was more. I took money out of my portfolio because I wanted to invest in Boxable. at 80 cents per share. So I transferred money out of my investment portfolio here with Robinhood, and I put that money over in the Boxable and bought a couple thousand shares, I think 8,000 shares. Um, but if I had more money, just imagine how I could flip that. And that's why I do this show, because I want to teach y'all how to flip money like this. And it ain't look, it's not a get rich quick scheme. If you see this, all in all, I actually started investing way back here. See that? That's when I created my portfolio. Um, so that's more than 5 years. So if you're not there yet, don't feel bad. I started investing a little bit ago, right? And all I've been doing since then is learning, learning, learning. But that's a good question. And for anybody else in the chat, if you want to check out Stash, feel free. He put the link in there. Appreciate that, DX. Um, okay. What I was gonna talk about in the beginning, but hey, don't feel bad. Y'all throw something in there. Let's talk. This is why we're here, right? Um, oh, they also, I'm sorry, one last thing about Robinhood. See where my mouse is? See Robinhood Legend? Robinhood Legend is their platform they really use for folks who want to day trade. Uh-oh, it's got sound to it and everything. I came on here one time. I think they even put this on the mobile. But they have Robinhood Legend. Now I was on the announcement for this last year. Oh my lord, oh my lord. Robinhood Legend, when they did the call for this, it was amazing. I was driving just listening to it. And but anyway, so Robinhood Legend is on here as well. So anyway, this is what I was going to talk about right here. Anybody in the chat, feel free to throw anything. This T app, right? I have seen more people bugging out, going nuts, going insane about this darn T app. And it's all dudes, right? And I don't know if y'all know what this is, but if you want, you can read the screen. I'm going to summarize what I've heard it's about. Basically, it is an app that you must be a female in order to get into, right? You have to be a female, and they make you post a photo, from what I can tell, to prove that you are who you are. It's supposed to be a safe space away from men so that they can actually talk about men. I think the app was actually invented so like they can actually um, post a picture of you and say, "Does anybody know this guy?" And somebody could say, "Yes, I know him. He's my brother's best friend. Cool dude. Okay, is he dating anyone?" No, not at the moment. He had a long relationship that ended 2 years ago. He's a good guy. Cool. They got the Carfax on you, and so now they're gonna now they're approved that actually it's probably some girl that's hovering around, not really trying to do a whole lot of flirting until she gets the thumbs up from the other girls. Um, and then the app just got hacked. Hey man, ain't my problem. I'm gonna talk. Okay. Hey, tell me some more about that in the chat. Post some more about that, and we'll go with that. Your talking points. I don't know a whole lot about it. I really just made a reaction to this last night because I keep hearing about it. All right, so it's pretty much the Carfax for dudes, the dude facts, the man facts. I don't know what you want to call it, right? Um, has this dude been around the block? Is he a player? Does he have something? All of that kind of stuff, right? And to a guy, that probably sounds a bit grotesque, right? But all right, let's pull this up. Hackers leaked 13,000 user photos and IDs from the T app, designed as a woman's safe space. The viral app requires new users. Yeah, yep. All right, yep. So, and that's actually what I wanted to get at, right? It's okay. You didn't have to. Well, yeah. If you include the link, I'll pull it up. So, all right. Here's the thing, right? If women want a safe space away from men, I think it's okay. You know why? Because if you go back into history, throughout all of history in any culture, pretty much, I mean, this is 80, 90, darn near 100% true. Okay. Don't give me the one culture. Well, what about the Amazon women? Well, of course they had a safe space away from men because it was all women. They kicked the dudes out when they were grown, or whatever. So, all right, just go with me here. Think of Native Americans, Africans, Mexicans, Asians. Whenever people were tribal, right? They lived in tribes, in tents, in mud huts, or whatever. Maybe they put up wooden walls around them. Wooden, what do you call it? They make a safe fence or gate around the town. What would happen in the morning? The men would wake up with their women and the kids. They kiss them goodbye. The men go off with the men. They hunt, they fish, they navigate, they fight, they train, they become men, right? And obviously they talk, right? Did I mention any women were with them? No. The women, conversely, keep the kids and they tend to the gardens. They they teach the children, they talk, they cook, they prune, they sweep, they whatever they do, and they take care of the village while the men are gone. Now, obviously, you have to leave some men guarding the perimeter of the village. And that's in case some wild animal comes and tries knocking down the wall. That's in case some rogue men came by trying to get in and they know all of the men are away doing something, anything like that, right? Um, so now, when the men come back with what they've killed during the day, they give it to the women. The women go and they cook the food, right? They all sit down and they eat. And then the guys go over here around their campfire. The women go over here around their campfire. And the old men teach the younger men. The old women teach the younger women. This is how it's been for pretty much all of history, folks. Um, in any culture. So if women want a safe space to talk away from guys, I don't think guys should be freaking out about it. Let them have it and stop worrying about what they're talking about because we need our safe space away from women. I largely think part of what's wrong with our American society, right, and Western societies and civilizations in general, is that everybody has said we are the same, and so we need the same. Okay, just go with me here when I say this: rights, regulations. We need, and when I say rights, I don't mean the right to vote. I mean like guys should have the right to go into girls' bathrooms. Girls should have the right to go into guys' bathrooms. We've started mixing everything that was normally separate. Um, you can't create a YouTube channel and keep all women out or it gets canceled. You can't create a Facebook platform or that gets canceled, right? But now they've created a safe space for men. So if they're going to allow women to do it, maybe they'll allow guys to do it, right? But get okay, now I'm going to bring this full circle. You have guys freaking out on social media and they're more concerned with what these women might say about them or their homies than what's in their bank account. You have guys more concerned that she finds out he's got a Rolodex or black book or a roster than making different streams of income. You got more guys that could tell you who's going to say what about him, but they can't tell you 3 soft skills that they have. And this is the financial day, right? And that's how this adds up because a lack of focus on your money and your money maker and your trajectory, right, is that's going to make you earn nothing. And really, if you think about it, it's not going to help you improve yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, right? And ask yourself this: if you're one of these TAP people, I know it ain't nobody in my chat, but just listen. If you're one of these TAP people and you're going and saying about what they could be saying about you, my face might be in there for all I know. But you got to think, right? Some people, some girls ain't going to approach you, right? They're just not going to do it. That's not their style. Let's just say my face is on there. Some chick might have seen me walking around base, might have seen me in uniform, might have seen me at the gym, right? I wear gloves at the gym. See what I have on my finger? And I don't play no reindeer games either, right? Um, but she might have seen me, figured out from somebody, maybe seen me talking to somebody, knows somebody who knows that somebody, and posted me there and say, hey, do you know this guy? And see who says what. They may just be interested. Or they may, and then there's the revenge girls that you broke their heart because you broke up with them or whatever, and now they want to get back at you. We shouldn't care. Focus, guys. Focus, focus, focus. Lucid stock went up since they did their reverse stock split. They were struggle busting it before that because they couldn't move inventory. And there were two major reasons why. Who knows this, right? Not the guys worried about being on the T app. Lucid was struggling, and if you wanted to invest in Lucid, you should have did it before they did a reverse stock split, right? And the stock started booming, or they maybe announced it and it starts booming, right? Because they were struggle busting it based off of two main things, right? One of them was because they allowed people to personalize every single Lucid Air they bought. They weren't moving their regular inventory. That's one. And that's bad enough. Then the tariffs got announced and brought the price point of their imports up. So now they can't get they don't want to buy, right? While the Sanchez, you joined at the right time. I just got done talking. But so basically, they couldn't get their imports in at the same price they got it at, and they didn't want to buy it while it was terribly high, right? So if you really think about it, that stopped them from even making more vehicles, right? And and a lot of luxury brands had that problem. It's a luxury car, electric car brand, right? That's what they do. It's not a technology company like Tesla that manufactures cars, and cars just became the bulk of what they did, right? It is an electric car company. That's what they do, right? And it was luxury brand. So if you really think about it, right? All luxury brands were struggle busting it. You had Lululemon, Versace on the floor or on the rack, right? You had Dior, all these places that make their stuff overseas for like $2, import it for like $5, but that's seven, right? Keep up. But then sell it to you for $70, 10 times what it cost them to make it. They were struggle busting it, right? They were used to making that huge profit, right? But they couldn't. But we can't focus on Lucid if we're focused on the T app. We can't focus on making that $600, right? If we're focused on the T app. So that's why I brought this up. It is part of a financial thing, but understand I'm 39, right? And I'm married, but some of you guys might be 29. Some of you guys might be 25, 24. Understand something. If you're too busy chasing women, you're not chasing your dreams. If your physical sight is on, let me be clean here. Let me be clean. If your physical sight is on a woman's waist or something like that, then you can't be envisioning the man you want to be in 15 years. And I'm not saying don't date. I'm saying if you're more focused on that than earning money, if you're more focused on that than preparing yourself right now for the future you want to have later on, then you're not going to make it. Or you're just not going to make it in the time you think you would have made it. All right. What we got, chat? Y'all want to go over anything specific? Because the next thing I'm going to talk about is bleeding right over from that. And that is, it is your job to buy your freedom from the 9-to-5 world, from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. And what am I talking about, right? All right. So you see my calculator here. Usually I actually would pull up I have it favorited here somewhere. Let me see. Calculator. Yeah, so I don't have to pull up the other one. I forget which one I want. I said I was going to pull up. I think it's just a regular calculator. If y'all don't know how to get to this is calculator.net. Yeah, just a regular scientific calculator, I guess. That'll work. So let's say you make 50 grand a year, right? All right. So now you make 50 grand a year. Let's say your take home is, I don't know, 42 G's. So minus 8 grand for taxes. You take home 42 grand. All right. First of all, where's all that 42 grand going? Now, this is a financial show, right? So we got to talk about this. If you operate within the confines of a budget or a spending plan, put yes in the chat. And don't be ashamed if you don't put yes in the chat. If you don't, put no. I just want to see. Most people don't. I'm going to tell you they don't. Good job. All right, there's one. All right, cool. See, that's responsibility right there, right? If you don't, let's endeavor to get there, right? So your 42 grand, you should know where that's going, right? Yes, there will be some bills that fluctuate. Yes, there will be some maintenance issues with your car. We're not talking about oh, that was my speaker. We're not talking about the extreme. We're talking about, or the one-offs. We're talking about the norm, right? So your 42 grand should be spent before you get it, if you think about it, right? Now, hear me out. I know that sounds bad. I'm not talking about what you might think I'm talking about. See, a lot of times people have spent their paychecks before they get it in the way of, ooh, when I get that, I don't know why I sound like that. Maybe they sound like that. I don't know. Ooh, when I that deep raspiness. Ooh, when I get my what do you call that check? They do. Now you're making me laugh. Hold on, let me stop. When I get my tax return, I'm getting the fours, I'm getting the ones, I'm getting the jeans, they've spent their check before they get it. I don't know who sounds like that, folks, but we go use that's the mode we're using for today. All right, so now let's say they're gonna get I'm gonna use this 42 in a second, but let's say they get their check, their tax return, right? And let's say it's 4K, right? They spent the 4K before they got it, and that's not really the problem. You have money to utilize. Let me put it that way, right? But how they utilize it is they spend it. Might also not be a problem, but what are you spending it on? And this isn't mine, so I can't take credit for this, but assets over liabilities. That is earn your leisure shtick. That was their first slogan, right? Assets over liabilities. So if you are buying, what am I talking about? So if you're buying if you're buying Jordans, hold on, I can spell. Assets over liabilities. Let's talk about that. So if you're buying Jordans, that's a liability. There's no intrinsic value in that shoe. There is a market value on that shoe. I mean, there's little intrinsic value on the shoe, right? There's market value on the shoe, but the intrinsic value of the shoe does not equal the market value on the shoe. And that's one way you know you're buying a liability, right? Am I bugging? Liabilities. That's spelled wrong. All right, I'm showing my look. I'm a human. All right, whatever. I'm not AI. We got it right now. All right, so one way you know is the intrinsic value is not what the market value is. Now, that might not always be the case because, stocks improve in value and stuff too, but the company also improves in market cap, right? So they also have a product they're giving to the people, and how good is the product? Well, usually your equity will show you that over the course of a few years, right? So that Jordan doesn't come with a personal chef. It doesn't give you Space Jam powers, right? If it did, okay, that would be an asset. If it improved over time, the longer you had it out of the box, the more wrinkles the shoe got, the more it was talking in the front, the more valuable it became. It doesn't. It actually decreases in value, just like a car. The moment you drive it off the lot, it's going to depreciate. You drive it it has a depreciation value every single day. And if you work in a dealership, you know what I'm talking about. If you know somebody that works in a dealership, that's a salesman, finance manager, or anything like that, ask them for the Black Book value, right? They can open the Black Book, and the Black Book will say, okay, your 2023 Honda Civic Si depreciates $5 a day. So on August 31st, 2025, the market value will be this. They could tell you that, right? So that's one thing, buying assets over liabilities, right? And we're going to come back to that 42K. But if you have $4,000 from your tax return and you're spending it on things, then you have the middle class mindset. So let's also talk about mindsets. Now, if you weren't here for this one, sit back and enjoy the ride, because this is a good one. So there's 3 types of mindsets. If you remember this one, put it in the chat. If you remember this one, put it in the chat. So if you think that you should take your, if you remember the 3 types of mindsets, put them in the chat. If you think you should take your tax return, your 4K, and spend it on things, you have what's called the middle class mindset. And to tack onto this, sorry, protein shake, I did go to the gym a little bit this morning. You know what I'm talking about? Got to make that trap separate from the show. I'm just kidding. No, I do have fitness goals. That's another thing. You have to have goals. But we're going to talk about this one first. I don't think anybody remembers this one, so we're going to just talk about it. So there's 3 types of mindsets. Let's talk about that middle class mindset. Well, let's go from the bottom up. There's a poor man's mindset. The poor man's mindset says money equals debt, paying off debt, right? They think money is only used for paying off debt. That's it. And the problem is they wind up being like, this might be a little controversial the way I'm going to say this, but just get my meaning. They wind up being like somebody who's addicted to a drug, right? They need money because they want the drug. And they when they get the money, they use it to buy the drug. The drug gets them high, and then it wears off, and now they want that same high, so they need more money, right? And if the price goes up, now they got to work harder to get the same amount to get more money to get the same amount of drug, right? To get high. And then that high starts going like this. It's just a little bump. But don't get what I did there? No, I don't do drugs. I'm just kidding. But it's just a little bump versus a huge spike. So now they need more of the drug to get the same high. They're going to need more money now. And so this is what the poor mindset does, right? The poor mindset wants to be middle class. They want to be middle class. And so they act as though they're middle class. They have the poor mindset, which part of it is responsible, right? Paying off debt is a responsible thing. But that's all they do with their money 90% of the time, because 10% of the time, when they get a bonus on their job, when they get a pay raise on their job, when they get their tax refund. I sound like I'm preaching today, don't I? Let's get it. I got bars, financial ones anyway. So when they get a bonus on their job, when they get a pay raise on their job, when they get their tax refund, right? Somebody pays them back what they owe them. What do they do with it? They spend it. And the problem is they spend it on liabilities. if they were spending it and that's all they were doing, but on assets, I just wanted the liabilities read, but it read the whole thing. Whatever, read it, get it? If they were spending it on assets, it wouldn't be a problem, but they spent it on liabilities. That's the problem. So what does this look like in real life, right? Let's get something out of this. This is the guy that's earning $35,000 a year gross, but he's driving a Mercedes and it's 10 years old because that's the car he needed. He couldn't get a 5-year-old Honda Civic and drive that because, and I've heard this from people's mouths before. If you've heard this, what I'm about to say, put yes in chat, right? Or amen. Let's go with amen. So I've heard people say, men and women, don't even matter. Well, I don't want, the women don't sound like this, or maybe they do, I don't know. But, well, you talking to me about buying a house, but nobody's gonna see where I live, but everybody's gonna see what I'm whipping, what I drive. You heard that, put amen. All right. So then they think that's gonna defeat the argument, right? It's not. What I'm gonna say, he said, preach. I will. Give me a, no, I was playing. So here's the thing. I jab right back. And I ask something very simple. So you bought the car then for them, or did you buy it for you? They're like, well, I bought it for me. Well, you mentioned other people. You never mentioned yourself and why you needed the car. So I was just wondering, if you bought it for other people that you drive by that don't even know you, as they drive by, is there a QR code they're scanning? Is your Cashapp on it? Are they putting a little something on the car note every month? Are they paying your insurance? Because you bought it for them so they could see you. But what return on investment are you getting? Goose egg, nada, zero, zilch. You're getting nothing from that. And that's my point. The car is a liability. It is an asset when you're calculating your net worth. Yes, it has a market value. Yes, you do add it to your net worth. However, understand, if the car note is too high, liability. If it increases your debt to income ratio too high, and that's jerry-rigged to this one, actually, then it's a liability. If you can't afford the insurance, it's a liability. If you can't afford the gas, all of my Hemi lovers, my 6.2 or 6.3 V8 lovers, and you drive 30 miles to work one way, but I don't care if it's a round trip, right? You got to bounce. All right. Thank you for being active. I appreciate that. Anything you want to say? We're gonna be live for, I don't know, at least 20, 30 more minutes, maybe. Shoot it in the chat. Don't be a stranger. All right. Thank you. Okay, cool. Check out the recording. Thank you. See, I talk to the chat. They get all of me, whatever they want, man. Because we're here to do this together, right? But for you Hemi lovers that have to have that V8 that just sounds, I don't know if it does that, but you know what I mean? Like, you're burning all that gas. If you can't afford the gas, that's another reason why it's a liability. If you can't afford the maintenance, that's another reason why it's a liability. There are many, many reasons why a car could be a liability. Changing the brakes might be a few $100s. Changing the oil might be a few $100s. Changing the spark plugs, because they got to be platinum spark plugs, might be that might be $1,000 job. You know, if you can't afford the maintenance, and if you didn't look this up beforehand, you did the fool, right? So the poor man's mindset, that's the guy netting 35 grand and he's driving a freaking Hellcat. That's the guy that makes that and he's driving that, right? He can't afford it, but he's driving it. He's poor, but he's got a middle-class mindset because he thinks his money is for buying things, which is going to put him into debt, which is going to now start him going this way, needing money to pay the debt. And then the problem is while he's paying it down, he's going to do it again. Now he gets a credit card and he irresponsibly uses that because he's already in debt. So now he can buy things that he can't afford because of this liability. And that is going to add up here a weight coming down on him, pressing him down. And he's going to have to work overtime to push himself back up or get another job, which is great, but he's only doing it to pay the debt. Do you understand how the poor man's mindset? Let the church say, amen. No, I'm playing. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to be blasphemous. The God is my Lord and Savior. Jesus knows I love him. I'm going to stop playing with that. But if you understand that, put yes in the chat. So that's the poor man. And that's what the poor man's mindset is and how it actually functionally works. People tell you the 3 types of mindsets, but they don't explain. That's what it looks like on an everyday basis, right? Somebody that's got a car, credit card, the car's too much of a burden, and they irresponsibly use the credit card. They create the debt that's crushing him, and to build it back up, they use all of their money, Now, think about what they're not doing with their money. There's no money in savings, which I'm not against. You do need money. How can I put it? There's no money in a savings account. Okay? I'm not really against not saving money per se. I think even your saved money should be invested, right? Let me talk about that. So I think there's different levels of savings account. There is a savings account from a bank. Your checking is not your savings. That's where your direct deposit goes into. That's where you can write your checks from to pay bills and stuff like that. So that should be your utility account, right? Where you get your money and where your money goes out to pay bills and stuff, right? But a savings account is really, if this is the floor, the savings account is way down here. It's 100 feet, 100 meters below sea level. I'm going to tell you why. Because they give you like 0.25% on it to have the money there. But inflation is 3% a year on average, and it has been for decades, right? So let's use the 3%. So basically, you get goose egg for leaving your money in savings, right? Your money deflates 3% a year. So if you have $1,000, the buying power of it just went down to 970, and you can't visually see that because it still says $1,000. But eggs, bread, milk, gas, rent, utilities, I got bars. Watch out. Goods like sneakers, clothes, it all went up slightly. And you didn't pay attention to that because you didn't watch that laptop, that tablet, that phone you wanted all year. You didn't watch the price all year, right? So when you actually go to buy it, you didn't see that it's marked up 3%, 5% from last year. You didn't see it, all right? So the savings account, if this is sea level, savings account is 100 meters deep. Now, let's bring it up. There ain't no sea level. Let's just say that, right? A savings CD will meet you right here. A savings certificate, otherwise known as a savings CD, will save your money, and it'll save it usually at about 3%. So if you want to be at sea level, get a savings certificate of about 3%, and that'll keep you at sea level. That'll keep your dollar for dollar buying power value right with inflation. So it's not deflating. Who wants that though, right? But it locks the money. You can't get to it for 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, depending, right? So now let's go above sea level just a little bit. See that? That's just a hair. What is that? That's called the high yield savings. Let's put this stuff out here so you can see it. I'm going to talk through this, so y'all bear with me. All right. So you have savings. Womp womp. Don't want that. Then you have CD, savings CD. Now you have a high yield savings. Now these can get you 4 to 5% return on your money, right? This will get you a 4 to 5% return on your money. Who has high yield savings? You can find them in different places. Let me just put it on the screen because this is a live show. Let's do it. Google. Now I know Amex has a high yield savings, and they had it for 5%. I think it may be 4. Who offers high yield savings account? All right, let's go. Let's go Forbes. I like Forbes. Who offers them? American Express. Right now it's at 3.5%. So you're barely beating inflation. You're barely better than a savings CD. This is why I said it's a hair above savings, right? Savings CD. Capital One, 3.5. Look, SoFi, 3.8. Synchrony Bank, 3.8. Discover, 3.5. Here you go. Western Alliance Bank, 4.25. Now, I do know Amex used to be 5. That's why I said that. I know they used to be 5. Used to be 5%. But those are just some of them. UFB, 4.01. Marcus by Goldman Sachs, 3.65. And I almost said Citi, but it's CIT Bank, Platinum Savings, 4%. So if you want your money to, so when I say invest even your savings, what you don't want is to not be able to get to the money if you want to get to the money. I understand that. But remember, poor man's mindset. You still want your savings to be invested and gain value, even if you want to be able to get to it, when you need it. It still needs to increase in buying power or it's going to decrease in buying power. There's really, you see this, right? This is either barely over or it's going to be under, right? Now let's see. Google. I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to show you right because I don't want to lead y'all astray. All right, savings CDs. Average interest rate. Here we go. All right, so look at this. They're saying the average savings CD is only offering 2%. They used to offer 3. See right here, Popular Direct is offering 4.25, 4.25 to 5.35. Look, you can see it on your screen. Look at this list. Synchrony Bank is back in here again. But see what I'm saying? It's right at the level of inflation if you look right here, up here. But then there are some that break out above, right? So it's a hair better than inflation. So what you want to do is save what you're doing, what the average person with the poor man's mindset, and it could be argued that they're ignorant, and ignorant as in naive. They just don't know about this kind of stuff. It's still a poor man's mindset, and it's nobody's job to tell you. You have to go find this information. Mom and daddy couldn't teach me what they didn't know, but they gave me a foundation. Everybody wants to be in kung fu movies like Bruce Lee. I'm about to fall backwards over my rolly chair. What time? See, look at that. You saw that? See, look at the form. Now respect it. No, they want to throw roundhouse kicks and be out here doing flying Bruce Lee and Mortal Kombat moves, but they never learn stretching to be limber. They never learn balance on one leg without shaking. They never learn the proper form. But they don't have a foundation. So when they throw a roundhouse kick in a fight, they're going to fall to the ground because they lost their balance. They didn't get their foot up high enough because they didn't stretch. They're not limber enough. They didn't learn the proper pose, so it wasn't thrown with the proper amount of power to knock their enemy out. So they're going to fall and get stomped out. You got to have a foundation. That's what mom and daddy did for me. So let's get back to this. So the savings CD, savings account, savings CD, high yield savings. Now let's talk about something else. So I think personally, this is my personal opinion. Remember, I'm not licensed. I'm not accredited yet. I am going to get my accreditation as a financial advisor, right? My credentials. But I do know what I'm talking about. It's worked for me. It's worked for many other people too. I just, I don't know if I can legally take credit for it, and I don't really seek to. I just like to help people. In my opinion, the now all three of these are savings accounts, right? The least one that you should have should be high yield savings. Do not have a savings account because high yield savings, you can get to the money if you need it. You can pull it. And I think that's what people's fear is, right? But what if I need it? What if I need it? What are you doing needing it? It's savings. Why do you have to dip into there? And I get it. If it's maintenance costs, someone died, it's funeral costs, something like that, got it. If it's money for Christmas and that's why you're putting it over there, great. But don't you want the buying power of the Christmas money to go up by the time Christmas comes and they say everything's discounted, but actually it's inflated 15% from where it was in February or March, but they just say it's on sale because it was actually 30% up and they dropped it 15% for you for Christmas so you can see that it has a discount on it so you'll buy it? That was a mouthful, huh? I got bars, financial ones. So the least tier of savings account I believe that you should have is a high yield savings because the buying power of your buying power of your dollar is still going up. But is there something more with savings? Yes, there actually is. Let me show you. Google. I should actually log into it and I'll show you what it's at, but so acorns. There's acorns. Acorns, I put earnings, but let's see. When you put your money in the acorns, why can't I spell today? That's the right one. When you put your money in the acorns, your money actually gets invested, right? And let me see, where is mine at? Right. I have it on my phone. And you can actually pick which one you want, which fund or ETF or stock out of the ones they offer you. This ain't Robinhood, so every one of them's not available. You can pick which one yours is in, right? So if I go to investing, mine has a 10.86% gain all time. 10.86. So if you subtract 3, the buying power is actually increasing 7, almost 8%, right? And if I need this money, I can log in the acorns and hit withdraw. If I wanted to, I could do that. Because it's a savings account. So understand, don't have the poor man's mindset. Get out there and learn. Acorns would be the highest yield savings that you could probably get out there right now. Now, when I find something else, I'm going to make another video and I'm not going to rescind, but I'm going to add on to it. Well, I found something that's higher than acorns. But right now, acorns might get you between 7 and I had a 12% return. It's just based off the market. I had a 12% return at one point in time, right? So acorns, I've seen as little as like 7% and as much as 12. Isn't that way higher than these over here? Because not everybody's offering a 5%. Not everybody's offering a 4%. A lot of them are much lower, right? And so if you think about that, there's the poor man's mindset. That's what it looks like. They save money in a regular savings account. So let's say in 10 years, they have saved $30,000, right? Let's bring up, I was going to use that 42, but let's bring this up. All right. So let's say they've saved 30 G's. Now, I said 10 years, right? And that's just in the savings account. It's really earning nothing. Goose egg, right? So in 10 years, though, it's going to be hit with 3% interest every single year. See where I'm going with this? If you don't, I'm going to show you. So after 10 years, That's 3% a year. That's 30% player. So the buying power, not the number, has now dropped $9,000. So watch this. Subtract 30 grand. Your buying power after 30 years on that 30 grand is now down to $21,000. That's how that works. So the poor man might be doing some of the right stuff, but his mindset, he doesn't know enough. And that's what this show is for. You may be the guy or gal with the poor man's mindset, and you need to fix that. It's your responsibility. You have to utilize the money you're getting from your job responsibly to pay for where you live, to pay for your transportation. And if it has to have insurance and all the, let's just say all of the costs, that associated costs, that's maintenance, that's insurance, anything that might come with it, because if you take the train every day, associated costs with that. So if it goes up, if you're a peak, off peak, if the price of the ticket goes up, if you get a, what do you call it? Like a season pass, one that will let you ride the train all year. I don't know what it's called, but you get what I'm saying. If you ride the train, all associated costs that may come with that. It may cost you more time as well, right? Are you willing to sacrifice that over having your own vehicle? Which one weighs more? You've got to balance your own balance beam scale and make sure you're even keel, right? So the poor man's mindset looks like this. They drive cars they can't afford. They utilize credit in a irresponsible way, and they stack on as much debt as possible. So now, instead of squatting 135 and being able to do it 15 times, now they got 315 on their back, and they're scared to even go down because that weight is going, they can't come back up again. And that's what debt will do to you. Now you're talking about bankruptcies. This is where all the corrupt mindsets come from. And this is across any culture, any ethnic background. We're not just talking about one, we're talking about anybody. This is where opening credit accounts in your children's name come from. This is where defaulting on loans comes from. This is neighborhoods with terrible credit scores, 500 credit scores versus a 700. And all it takes is a bit of knowledge, right? And the desire to seek that knowledge, because the desire to see a better day in your family. Now let's go with the middle class mindset. Let's talk middle class. Give me a new text box. All right. No. I'll use that one. Because where are we at? We were where's the poor man's? All right. So let's go after Acorn. Let's go with middle class. Now, the middle class mindset thinks that money equals things. This is also a terrible mindset because, but they typically, if you are middle class, they typically earn more than the poor man. But can a middle class person have a poor man's mindset? Yes. And you know how they get there? By having a middle class mindset. The middle class mindset, I'm gonna tell you, is actually the worst one to have. And let's see if you agree or not, chat. The middle class mindset is the worst one to have because you could be a poor man but have a rich man's mindset, and in 10, 15, 30 years, you might be rich. Or you might be in the middle class because you have that mindset. But you could be in the middle class, have a middle class mindset, and wind up staying middle class. Or you could be a rich man with a middle class mindset and wind up MC Hammer broke. MC Hammer was on Oprah one time. Don't ask me why. I'm going to tell you why I know. My lovely mother used to watch Oprah all the time, and MC Hammer was too legit to quit, right? So his legitimacy made him have a 1,000-piece wardrobe. That's what he was on there. I'll never forget this. He had a 1,000-piece wardrobe. So you walk in his walk-in closet. It's probably as big as somebody's small bedroom in their house. Uh, and he's got 1,000 articles of clothing, jackets, pants, shirts. How many days do you think? There's only 365 days in a year, folks. Even if he was to be like Jay-Z, change clothes and go twice a day, he still wouldn't get to 1,000 pieces unless he's accessorizing and got 300 jackets. And you know what I mean? Like, you would have to do something like that to wear all of that in a year and not have to wear the same thing twice. Why? Why? Because he had a middle class mindset. He was rich. He was rich, not wealthy. There's a difference. Don't believe we gonna suss this out right now. There is a difference between being rich and wealthy. Let's see what Google defines it as, and I'll tell you what the Blacksmith defines it as. Rich versus wealthy. Rich, focus on income and spending. Being rich typically signifies a high income and ability to afford a lavish lifestyle focused on present consumption, middle class mindset. This is being rich. It's not the mindset. The mindset they're describing is middle class. Watch me work. Present spending and present consumption and spending. Emphasis on material possessions. Rich individuals may prioritize acquiring material goods and maintaining a certain image. Too legit. May not indicate long-term security. While rich individuals may have a substantial income, their financial security may not be guaranteed if they lack assets or are heavily reliant on their current earnings. See that? You're Eminem said sing for the moment, but if you're spending in the moment and that's all you're doing, you're gonna pour yourself in the future. You get what I'm saying? All right, so now wealthy. Emphasis on assets and net worth. Being wealthy signifies possessing substantial assets and a high net worth, allowing individuals to sustain their lifestyle without depending solely on their active income. These are the people that store their nuts for the winter. If you were a squirrel, you would be in love with what I just said. These are the people that when winter hits, they don't have to go find anything in the cold. They don't have to go out there while the cold predators, the wolves, are out there hungry and want to gnaw on something. They're cozy, up high, in their little alcove and inside of a tree. Ain't no wind hitting them. They done put a door up there of mud or something. They got enough nuts in there. They can just wake up, reach over, crunch it up, knock back out. They are set. And when in their older years, because they laid up all these assets, right? They invested in income producing assets, right? I'm probably getting ahead of the AI, but they invested in income producing assets. So as they get older, their active income can decrease. And then they go laissez-faire, like the French said to their government, hands off. They go hands off. What does that mean? They retire in the true sense of the word. Retirement, like for me, active duty is the point where I no longer work in the military. But retirement in the true sense of the word, or the Blacksmith definition, is the point at which you no longer want to work. They can go laissez-faire from working and still maintain their lifestyle. You know why? Because they may have earned $200,000 a year, and let's say they grossed $200,000 a year, right? They lived off of 70, and that extra 130 wasn't going to vacations all the time. Let's say they spent on average about 30 a year for vacations and entertainment and stuff. They were investing $100,000 a year. And let me show you what you could do with $100,000 a year, right? Let me show you real quick. Let me learn you something. We're going to get back to it in a second. Let me get out of Robin Hood legend. Let me go back to the ain't nothing like the real thing. I'm just talking about Robin Hood. All right, so Orchid Island Capital, right? This is my champion REIT over here, right? real estate investment trust. If you don't know, now you know, gentlemen. All right, so this REIT returns an average of 19.43%. Now they just did their earnings call. It was 20%. Let's go with the 20 because it's easy math, right? So let's say they were investing $100,000 a year. If you multiply that by 20%, that's 20 grand, right? That's what this would produce every year in the dividends. So if you invested every month to get you to 100 grand by the end of the year, you would have earned $20,000 worth of dividends. You don't really care about the equity. Maybe the equity went down $600, or maybe you lost 2% on the equity during the year. 2% off of 100 would be $2. So just add zeros, right? So if you want to know 2% of this, well, 20% is 20,000, and so 2% would be 2,000. So you're up $18,000. And remember, this is dividends. They produce income and they buy more if you let them reinvest. So now, after the end of the year, they have produced $20,000 total in dividends, but the amount of money that is cranking out each month, let's see. So if you use 100, I'm gonna do it all at once, but this wouldn't be accurate, but just get where I'm going. So what's the share price at? 740. So you'd have 13,513 shares, right? Now you multiply that times 12 cents per share. And that's what you would crank out. $1,621.62 per month. Multiply that by 12. Oh, shoot. It's almost 20 grand. There you go. But you know what? That is what the actual dividend is right now. See that? 19.43%. That's what it's at. So we did accurate math, right? So what does this look like, right? Multiply this of 10 years of doing this. Let's say you cranked out at least 20 grand a year. It's going to be more than that because now year 2, you're starting with, as year 2 starts, you're starting with 20 grand of dividends and $100,000 already invested. And you're going to put another 100,000 during the year. This is what wealthy people do. See, the difference with rich and wealthy, rich got rich because of a really high income or really high paydays, and they have nothing invested. Wealthy people may have a high income, but they also have their money tied up in assets, income producing assets or equity gaining assets. That's what an asset is. So they may have, I have a home right here. It is gained equity, right? So that's now in 30 years, when I'm done paying it off, there'll be a ton of equity in the house. At least $1 million. This is Southern California. I bought it for $680. It'd at least be $1 million. Yeah, but you got to calculate all the interest you paid over time. Who cares? Who cares? Because in 30 years, I'll be 69. I'll be ready to put it in a trust and leave it to the kids. And if it's in a trust going to the kids, they won't have to pay taxes on it. Who cares? That's what you do it for, right? So let's go back to this, right? Let's read the rest of this. So focus on long-term. I just told you that. Let's skip that. May involve diverse income streams. While wealthy individuals often build multiple streams of income from their assets, such as real estate, businesses, investments, according to Investopedia. Investopedia is a very good source of information. If you don't know what it is, now you know. Gentlemen. All right, so middle-class mindset. This is why the middle-class mindset is so dangerous, because you think money is only for buying things, which adds to the debt. Thank you, Sanchez. You are correct. And it makes you poor. Then you need to work more, and then all of your money goes to paying the debt, and none of it goes to income-producing assets. So we beat this middle-class mindset down. We put the dukes to this dead horse. So let's go over the wealthy man's mindset. They said rich man, but I don't like using rich man because rich doesn't have any money invested. And we just went over the difference between rich and wealthy, right? So let's go over the wealthy man's mindset. The wealthy man knows that money is not for buying things. The wealthy knows that money is not, first of all, they don't get themselves into debt. And if they do, they know how to utilize debt properly, right? I'll go over that in a second. Um, they know how to leverage things against debt and pay it off. Anyway, so chat, do me a favor. If somebody let you borrow $100,000, but you had to give it back in one calendar year, what would you do with it? Chat, if somebody lent you $100,000, but you had to give it back in 1 year, what would you do with it? That's what I want y'all to answer while I discuss this. And anybody in the chat, can you help me out? Can you tell me what you would do with it? But could you also post that question in the investing tab of Discord? Thank you very much, if you can. So the wealthy class mindset. The wealthy class knows that money is for investing into is making more money, producing money babies. So money equals more money. Now, how do they do that? Well, I just showed you. You invest in something that produces dividends, right? So now this is my champion REIT. Let me show you another one. Now, one of our fellow brethren in the chat, he found this and sent it to me, and I've since put it in the chat. So if you're not in this on you. But Misty, right? Misty is paying a dividend yield of 1.8. Now, let me show you something. The history of Misty. I bought it in June on my birthday. Look at that. 39, June 9th. All right, so I bought 20 shares at 21.22. And they paid me on 20 shares $24.76. See that? This is not a game. That's more than $1 per share. And it's also monthly. And it tells you 1.19, right? Well, no, that's when it reinvested. So then when it reinvested right here, it bought me another 1.19 shares, right? Because it invested $24.76. I'm not pocketing that money. So what did I do? I used to have ARR, Armor Residential REIT, right? I used to have this one. Now, if you've been here a while, you've seen, look at that. July 9th, I sold all of it, $7,100 worth, and I went and I bought more Misty. Now, that dividend hasn't hit. It hits at the end of the month. And then I set up a recurring buy for each week, $7 to buy Misty. So every 3 weeks thereabout is buying another share, or needs to hit 4 weeks and it buys 1 point something, right? I'll probably up it to $15. So every 2 weeks is buying me another share, right? But I can't wait for this dividend to hit. Now, why is this important? Because if you look at Misty dividend history, I usually go to what is it, Dow Jones? I can't remember. But this is a good site too. The dividend yield is 132%, right? And the annual dividend is $27.59 per share, right? Now look at this. It IPO'd April 4th of 2024. It was paying $4 per share per month. These are monthly. Look at the months, right? It's nobody's job to teach you this. It's your job to go learn it. So if you're in my Discord, congratulations. You have the wealthy man's mindset. Congratulations. This has not dropped below $1 yet. And it's probably because they're trying to pull in investors. But while the getting is good, you better get. You better get yourselves in here and let's get some dividends. Right? So this is what they do. So the wealthy man knows that money is for making money babies. Make your money, make more babies, right? Or if you look at them as employees, hire more employees. It gets you more labor force for whatever product, and you're your first business. And Those are the three mindsets. But in a nutshell, it is your job to get yourself out of poverty. It is your job to change your mindset. It is your job to do the work. And you're also going to be the one reaping the benefits of this. It's going to be you, your kids' kids, if you're blessed enough to see your kids' kids. All right. And that is all I have for y'all today. We went over an hour, but this been good. We got to get it while the getting's good. The recording is going to go up in case you missed anything. But please, I'm telling you, the number one thing I need y'all to do is share this information with other people, because there's other people like us that maybe are starting right now, and they might be 40 years old. Maybe they're starting right now and they may be 28, but they still have time to get in an IRA and compound all that interest to their retirement date. They may be 50 and they're starting. They need Jesus. Well, they need this too, but obviously everybody needs Jesus. But just get what I'm saying. But thank you for your love and support. Please share it. Even if you share it with one person that doesn't already know about it, that will help us out and build this community and be the change that we want to see. The Forge is going cold. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week. Good day to you.